really sets Marlboro apart is that each individual who comes here is given the freedom to really make a difference.
The fact is about Marlboro, once you're here, you realize that it's such a tight community. People work really well together here.
The school's not divided into classes as far as freshman, junior, senior, sophomore. It also isn't divided into the musicians, the science students. That doesn't really happen here. Everybody's involved in everything.
One of the first weekends here, we were playing baseball, and I was so surprised. They started pointing out, oh, that's a teacher, and that's a teacher, and that's staff, and I was like, what? And they don't feel that they're like on a higher level or anything. If you want to sit down and talk baseball with them, or you want to sit down and you want to talk your curriculum, or you want to talk your personal problems, it's no big deal, you just do it.
All right.
What brought me to Marlboro was the size of the community. Even though it's small, you're not academically limited.
What I like best about Marlboro is its academic challenge. You create your education by yourself.
Calling the teachers and everyone around here by their first name instantly breaks down a barrier. You know, we're more individual to individual instead of, you know, I'm the teacher, you're the student.
You have to take into consideration the personality of the student. And you don't want to crash at the personality. On the contrary, what you want to do is to help that personality to express itself the best possible way. And don't make any rhythm. You forgot your crescendo here. Try once. This is too loud. Give more weight to the left of your hand. Don't release the C. That's it. That's it. That's it. You have to practice that very slowly and very patiently.
Marlboro was always the ideal college to me, in that it's a college that works towards the individual. And coming from a New York City public school system, where you were just a number, and where it was so hard to get locked into your interests because they weren't really offered to you, I couldn't go to a college where I would just be a number.
It was kind of weird for me because I came from a big school, so I wasn't, used to this tutorial stuff. I was used to big classes like 60 people, 70 people, and all of a sudden I got a tutorial.
It's the faculty members. I mean, they're so dedicated to what you're doing. They're genuinely interested in what you're doing. I mean, in one day, I can get what amount of feedback that it might take a month at some other institution to get,
So it's a very complicated thing and very fascinating. That's why it's so alive and so nice for the teacher. And it's exhausting. I tell you, to play a concert is much less tiring than teaching. Much less.
The professors here really encourage you to do a wide range of studies. It is a liberal arts school, and they want you to look into different fields.
I'm interested primarily in the arts. I like incorporating math into what I'm doing. I was allowed to do that. It's a great place to do that, to just come in and just get right to work on what you want to do.
The curriculum, in certain ways, is very simple. It involves getting a certain breadth in one's general education. It involves developing an interest, which may be an interest in a particular field within the liberal arts, or perhaps an interest in a certain problem which laps over one or more fields.
It's almost irrelevant what area within the curriculum you study, even when you study it in depth, because the outcome is the same. One learns how to ask and answer questions. One learns how to analyze systems, regardless of whether it's theater or biology or anthropology.
The important thing is to think in a disciplined way and to use the language clearly. If you can do that, you can master whatever gadget technology comes up with next. But if all you know is that particular gadgetry, you're floating on very thin ice, Light switch is sure to crack because the one thing you know about technology is that 15 years later it's all going to be changed.
They're willing to teach the student how to think for himself or herself, which is what's important, how to use your own brain.
I think that's the whole idea behind liberal arts education, is not so much to put the education into your head, but to open your mind up to education.
The freshman year, I think, is a year of exploration. I advise them to explore, to look at different fields, to take as many varied courses as they can, to find out what they're truly interested in.
I mean, that's a great opportunity that you can really decide what you want to do, what's your interest, and you'll get to do it. So what I'm going to do is make an introduction that I haven't really. I mean, I'll get to that.
Right, that's no problem.
And then I'll make a short history of U.S. trade because just to see how it has developed. The thing is, you have to, I mean, you arrange everything yourself. Even though you get help from people, you get support from your advisor, you get support from teachers, you get support from friends, you arrange things yourself. You get out with a feeling of being worth something and being able to do a job on your own.
I was at this large university, and I found that I was going to these large classes, 300 people, and these essay, multiple choice tests with little circles you color in and stuff, and I was like, this is ridiculous. I thought I was into it, but it was terrible. I was having a miserable time. The major difference for me was the independence that I have, in that I am able to sort of set up my schedule the way I want to. It transcended that sort of, oh, I have to go do my homework.
If you're able to pick your own courses, it's something that interests you, and therefore you're going to have a hell of a lot more motivation.
At Marlboro, people have to be engaged in what they're doing. It's built into the structure because the initiative must come from students. There is no option for just sliding along, for just floating through here. That's, I suppose, potentially a drawback, but ultimately I think it makes for people being able to develop their own potentials and come to know their own potentials and their own limits, and that we provide an environment where that's not only possible but necessary. That's what you do here.
What we have here is a school where there's really serious emphasis on hard, formal academic work. But everything else is very liberal and flexible and easygoing, and everybody calls each other by their first name. In the tutorials, when it's literally one-on-one, there's no place to hide. So the student, it's harder on the student. They have to work harder, they have to be more serious.
I just wanted to include this.
Yeah.
They also say that they've discovered, I mean, this is a paper that hasn't even been published yet, but it says that they've discovered another component. I mean,
Sometimes there's a student who has very specific interests, and if you're simply channeled into the standard machine which cranks you through and determines for you the direction that you're supposed to go, you just lose interest. But if you're allowed to choose your own direction, pick your own specialty, anyway, become the local expert, then that often turns people on. It's very interesting to the graduate schools, too.
There is a structure at Marlboro. It's unlike any other structure I've ever seen, but it's one that puts the responsibility on the individual.
Each student is supposed to pick out some topic that's dear to their heart in one way or another and research the hell out of it, find out everything that they can about it. In some cases, of course, it's an actual observational or experimental task. Perhaps in biology it might be that way. You learn just everything you can right up to the cutting edge, and the student just spends 2 years working on that.
When you do that, it makes it much easier when you get out into the world to really accomplish things, to have a goal and finish them.
It's hard. I mean, it's really hard to motivate yourself to like write this paper, and it's tough. But it's been an excellent exercise, and it's certainly something that I wouldn't have had someplace else.
You learn to make deadlines. Like, I could have put the play off another week if I wanted to. And I went to Jeff, I even suggested it. And he said, nope. He said, in the theater, you have to make deadlines. And that's important, because you got to hit deadlines in life, otherwise you never get anything done.
Okay, stop and take that part again. And Joey, let me see the rise. It's got to be more definite from really, yeah, what, bang.
I mean, I guess I always knew I had the potential to do something like that. Anybody could. And it's a lot easier than I thought it would be. Usually when you think of something that you want to do, it seems like it's out of reach. And all it is work. It's applying yourself. So through putting it all together, I learned a tremendous amount. And I do it again, and I will do it again. And I'm glad I tackled all that.
At the end of your senior year, you have an oral examination with Marlboro faculty members and an outside examiner.
And then some people panic in their orals. I mean, you go in there and you've got a professional in your field sitting there asking you questions about your work as if it's something important, and it is important, and it becomes even more important then. But actually being in there and doing it and working with it, it wasn't that tough.
It's that kind of confidence, I think, that one gets. One takes on the world of scholarship as one would approach one's peers rather than, you know, in fear and trembling, sitting at the feet of the giant.
One of the nice things about Marlboro is that you can go in the computer room at 3 in the morning and type a paper. The library is always open to you. You can always find a place to go and be by yourself. Having the president of the college out there playing broomball with the rest of us just typifies the kind of feeling at Marlboro where it's a community and you are a member of the community.
We have the town meeting and the community meetings, and the students run the school basically. We're on all the committees, and we have the option to be on all the committees if we want, and we make the big decisions.
You do have to make your own entertainment up because there aren't these distractions as in the city. The student body is so close that if somebody has an idea, they'll say, yes, let's go for it, however ridiculous it is.
It's impulsive. If you want to do sports, you just do it. You just grab a football and you go out on the field and you do it.
This is probably one of the best places to dance that I've ever danced because it's very uninhibited.
There's been a lot of fun events this year, and the cabaret was a lot of fun too. That was the first time I'd ever performed that way on stage, and it was very scary, but it was fun.
I was a reserved person before I came here. It's a big change in my personality too, because I wasn't like this. It's the community that has changed me. It's so small. It's so people are so friendly.
Skiing at Marlboro is amazing. There are trails all over the woods. There are trails behind every building, behind every hill, and there are wonderful ski stations within half an hour.
Well, at Marlboro, you're the leader down whatever path you choose.
When you leave Marlboro, you've successfully completed a project that you set out to do. It's an individual quest. I think a success story like that to send you out into the world with is pretty nice.
It's a funny feeling. I finished and I did the footnotes and I printed it out and I left the computer room and I thought, well, this is done. It's something that's yours, which I think is the greatest thing. And when you're through with that and you realize that you did it and that you can do it, then a lot of things don't seem so difficult afterwards.
One of the things I felt when I finished the thing was that, like, wow, I finished this huge project and I worked on it for 1.5 years. If I can do that, I can probably do pretty much anything if I really put my mind to it. It gives you a real feeling of accomplishment and like, power.
I would consider it the greatest experience I've ever had. That's what I'm going to get when I walk out of here.
This school, in a way, gives me faith or hope in some sort of ideals.
I think the students that leave Marlboro leave with a sense of being worth something. Because in this place, I mean, every person is counted as something.
There's something about the Marlboro College student, and I don't think anybody can describe it to you or put their finger on it, but it's a quality. It says that there's a spark within you that can do it.